Jim and Kathy Holland. Our story began back in late winter time in 2013, and Jim had had a sore throat that he had been to the doctor on 3 different occasions, and they just couldn't seem to figure out what was going on. And so finally we ended up going to an eye, ear, nose, and throat specialist, and they did some tests, and they determined that he had cancer of the larynx. They did surgery and they removed his larynx, and he had to have chemotherapy and radiation. And I mean, that's where our journey began. While he was going through his treatments, he decided then and there that when he was able, he wanted to be a volunteer in cancer services at the hospital. And that's when he ran into Beverly Washington, who was also a volunteer in the Cancer Center, and they began to have a conversation, and they became really, really good friends. And while they were during their time of friendship, they began to talk about cancer services, and Jim decided that that was something he would be interested in. So he began to come to bingo, and it just did so much for him. And he explained to me later, he said, "Kathy, you don't understand what it's like for me, because he doesn't talk because of them removing his larynx." And he said, "When I'm in just a group of normal people and I can't join the conversation and talk like everybody else does," he said, "I feel like an outsider." But when he began to come to bingo and he met all these other people who had cancer, he felt like he had a bond and he felt like he belonged. It's amazing to me that you can be in a room full of total strangers, but you can feel like you're among such friends because you all share that common bond. He has a shop downstairs with some woodworking equipment, and he decided that he would like to try and do some woodworking things. And Jim loves to give people things and make them happy. And so he began to make little things, and it gave him such pleasure to take these things with him to the hospital. And he would see somebody sitting there waiting for their treatment, and he would give them something. And it would just thrill him to see a smile on a face, knowing it was something that he had created.
I just like to make things and give people. I make them smile and make them happy. That's all I want to do, make them, when they're happy, I'm happy.
You know, I think for him, the fact that, like I said, it's harder for him to join in a conversation, I think his world is a lot lonelier than most people would realize. It's hard when especially if you're in a room full of people, to even realize he's wanting to say something. He'll wave his hand or try and get somebody's attention, because you can't. It's hard to understand what it's like.
I'm talking as loud as I can talk right now.
It's hard for people to understand when you're used to just opening your mouth and joining in a conversation, when you cannot do that. His volunteering and being around other cancer patients and feeling like he's made somebody happy, I think is what has allowed him to go on and be happy. My advice to anybody who's just starting down the road, just like we did, pray a lot, take one step at a time, and know that there are people out there who will help you on your journey. There's so many wonderful people out there. We just had great doctors, therapists, just everybody along the way has really helped us.
And a lot of it is I figured that somebody else did it, I could do it too.
That's right. Don't ever give up. There's hope, and there's people who want to help you along the way.
You never want to slow down, never.
Yeah, there were days when he was taking his treatment and he would be so weak. And we have a neighbor across the street who's an elderly lady, and it's uphill to her house. And she had gotten to the age where she could not come to the mailbox and get her mail. So Jim has always gotten her mail and taken it up and laid it beside her door. And there were days when he would feel so weak, and his son would be there at the house with him, and he would say, "Daddy, let me go get Mildred's mail for you." And he'd say, "No, son, just walk with me to make sure I can make it." But he has fought and never gave up, and we're on our 7th year now, and he's just doing great. We're Jim and Kathy Holland, and we just want to say, Wherever you are in your journey, don't give up. God loves you, and there are people in this world who love you and will help you in your journey. So hang in there, be strong and courageous.